Gillespie, you are where you want to be for National Signing Day with us on the Alabama rival site, Bama Insider, as the Crimson Tide look to wrap up one of the most prolific recruiting classes in the history of college football, maybe the greatest of all time. So we're going to be here today, and as you can see, we've got the National Signing Day schedule. We're expecting here shortly to have Camar Wheaton, the number one running back, 5 stars, just like Kyle Henderson, signed with Alabama. Terrion Arnold later today, Nick Saban tonight. We'll have Andrew Bone, a special appearance by Andrew Bone on his very own birthday, if you can believe that. That's what we're going to do here. Kyle, what's up, man? Great to have you. And hey, look, before I even bring Kyle on, we're going to 50,000 subscribers here. I mean, we're going to hit this soon. Be part of that. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel as we talk today about this Alabama signing class, which was a recruiting class. Now, Kyle, what's up, man?
What's up? Good morning and happy National Signing Day. It's pretty incredible, right? Like, so we have Andrew Bone, right? The best in the business who covers Alabama football. And his birthday just happens to be yearly on signing day. Like, could you imagine? It's like an ice cream man having the last name is Cone. So it's always great to come back on signing day, really like signing day 2.0, because you look at the schedule today. You got Camar Wheaton coming up at 8:30. And then you got Terrion Arnold. He's going to be signing on ESPN, by the way. And then you have Nick Saban. So, I mean, a lot of people were asking me because they liked the show last time. You know, we went, what was it, like 12 hours or something like that? And we had 25 guys who actually signed. Today, we're watching these 2 targets. Now, Camar Wheaton has committed, right? He committed in the back end of December to the Alabama Crimson Tide, but he did not sign his letter of intent. So I know a lot of people are kind of freaking out. They want to make sure that he signs with this class of 2021. If you listen to Sam Spiegelman and Andrew Bone, and that was on Tuesday, Sam Spiegelman has the pulse on Texas, Louisiana, and does such a great job for Rivals.com. He's fully confident that Camar Wheaton is going to sign with Alabama. So if you're out there this morning and you're a little bit nervous, I think you should rest assured that Camar Wheaton will be among this class. Now, I think when you look at Terrion Arnold, who will sign at 3 p.m. on ESPN, I think, you know, it's kind of been up in the air at this point. I think that Georgia, Florida, Alabama, all in play. So when you kind of look at the predictions, I think that's the one where, you know, we're trying to figure out what's going to happen. And we'll talk about these guys a little bit more. And then at 8:30, we'll try to get some footage of Camar Wheaton, who will be signing today at 8:30.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, and it's such a different atmosphere for Alabama as far as the coaching staff goes compared to where we were, even the situation that we're surrounded with. In December, you know, we were going into, the college football playoff, and, you know, the championship game was dead ahead. And, you know, here all of a sudden, you know, actually it was getting ready for the SEC championship game, right? And, you know, you had the staff with Steve Sarkisian and all those guys, and Alabama just killed it. I mean, like, and now, you know, it's an entirely new offensive staff. You got 2 NFL coaches with Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone, who I think are 2 really good additions. I think, honestly, experience and coaching level, Alabama improved, which is incredible because I thought Steve Sarkisian had one of the best years you could possibly have as an offensive coordinator. But you look at the list, a lot of stars there, a lot of power with this class, well-balanced. And when the rankings – You look at the star rankings, the power rankings come out, depending on what happens today, this could be the greatest recruiting class ever. I mean, we've said that before about Alabama, but we're saying it again now.
You know, I think when you look at this class, and I just put up kind of a bumper right there, Camar Wheaton to sign at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. So as soon as he does officially sign, we have some stuff planned, including an interview with Andrew Bone and some highlights. So we'll be bringing that stuff as soon as we get the word on Camar Wheaton. So hang with us, you know, as we get to that top of the half hour, as Camar Wheaton is set to make his official signee. And it looks like it's going to be for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, Mick, I think, you know, I was talking to somebody recently, and someone close to the program, and they're saying, look, I mean, what Nick Saban is doing at Alabama is, I mean, he might just be hitting. He hasn't even peaked yet, and I was like, what? You've won what, 7 national titles, and I mean, look at what he's doing at Alabama. I mean, look at this class, Mick. I mean, these guys kind of stacked on the returning guys from this past class. I mean, it's really incredible. We've talked about the quarterbacks, we've talked about the offense. I'm going to dive more into the defense over these next couple of weeks, and the strength of this team is on the defense. All the coaching continuity returning from last year's class. And then you have all these guys who are up and coming on the offense. You're going to get a chance to see Bryce Young command this offense. You're going to get a taste of Paul Tyson, Jalen Milroe, all the running backs that returned. And the running back room, I mean, my goodness. I mean, you're adding a 5-star into a room of 5 stars, right? So, the rich get richer, and Alabama continues to set the standard. It's really incredible to me that Alabama was able to sign 25 prospects in the early signing period, right? Because that was so important, because you saw the coaching turnover following the national championship, and that's all Nick Saban. Nick Saban's always playing chess out here, not checkers. We always talk about that, because that there's going to be coaching turnover, and Nick Saban wanted to solidify those signees with 25 before this signing day, which is the first weekend of or the first Wednesday of February. How many times have we gotten to this point and you only have 2 guys, I mean, that you're looking for? I mean, it's uncommon. So Nick Saban continuing to take advantage of that early signing period. And look right here. I mean, you look at the screen, it's incredible the amount of stars, right? I mean, we're almost ran out of room because of all these stars. And you look at the 5 stars, the 4 stars, and most of these guys, a good half of them are already enrolled at the University of Alabama. So these guys are already working out. They started working out last week with the 4th quarter program, started lifting weights with Dr. Matt Ray and David Ballou, and then half of these other guys will get here in the summertime. So at 8:30, we're going to get ready to see Camar Wheaton join this class, hopefully.
It really is phenomenal, too, to see the way that Nick Saban has been able to weather the storm, and when they changed the way that signing day happened, I felt like Georgia had taken a lot of momentum away from Alabama and Ohio State. Alabama was kind of sliding down as far as the recruiting class rankings go. And then, just typical Nick Saban, it's like, okay, we're going to figure out how to do this thing. And this had to be the toughest year to recruit because of COVID and the limited amount of visits you could have and, everything else that was going on in the world. And all Alabama did was watch this staff, which Nick Saban heads up, right, go out and put together this recruiting class that is potentially legendary. And it's going to be interesting to see Camar Wheaton sign. We'll be able to play some of that here. So folks that are with us right now, just hang on, and we'll try to get that from his high school. But it didn't even look like Alabama was going to add a running back, Kyle. But late in the game, when Camar Wheaton seemed to be going to Oklahoma, out of the hat, Nick Saban pulls what appears to be the best running back in the country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. I mean, you look at this class overall and all the pieces that have been added, right? You got your quarterback in Jalen Milroe. You got your offensive line, Tommy Brockemeyer, J.C. Latham, Terrence Ferguson. And then you needed a running back. And, Andrew Bone and I talked about this several times about the running back position. Would Alabama add a running back, considering that Alabama has a loaded backfield, right? You got Brian Robinson returning, Killen Robinson. You got Trey Sanders, you got Jason McClellan, you got Roydell Williams, got Kyle Edwards. So would Alabama take on another freshman running back? And Camar Wheaton wasn't too hot when we started talking in the summertime, but towards the later part of the football season, Camar Wheaton's name started to come up. And, this is a guy, as you know, that doesn't do a lot of interviews, doesn't talk to the media, kind of just does his thing on the football field and stays to himself. And I respect that. Look, a lot of these guys go about this the right way. I kind of like this approach. You stay focused, right? Instead of like releasing your top 15, your top 12, your top 10, your top 9, your top 8. It's like, come on, man. Just like, who is it down to? And Camar Wheaton has had that business style approach. What he's doing on the field is incredible. He's a home run type hitter right here, ranked number 1 in the country at the running back position. And Nick Saban's ability to go into the state of Texas was really incredible during the class of 2021, reeling in the Brockemeyer brothers, Kendrick Blackshire, landing Camar Wheaton, getting Jalen Milroe. So it's pretty big testament to what he's able to do because of the Bama factor. I know Jeff Banks and Charles Huff and Others did a great job helping build this class of 2021. But overall, it's Nick Saban's approach. It's the Bama factor, what Nick Saban always talks about. And you're starting to see that, in this virtual world. I mean, Nick Saban can't go to Texas. He can't go to Louisiana to talk to these guys, but you have these virtual setups. Everybody saw the live leak and got to see some of the greatness that Nick Saban's talking to some of these young men that are about to make the biggest decision of, their high school career going into college. And, the Bama factor sells itself. 13-0 on the season, number 1 ranked recruiting class, sending guys to the league. I mean, in the latest mock draft that I looked at, I have 6 guys. I think that's in Mel Kiper's. He has 6 guys from Alabama going in the first round. That's the Bama factor. What you're doing recruiting, what you're doing on the field, and what you're doing in the NFL. Nobody can sell that better than Nick Saban.
Great to have all of you with us here on the Bama Insider site. Thumbs up and subscribe as you hang out. We're going to be with you today as Alabama here this morning expects to get the number 1 running back in the country added to their recruiting class, Camar Wheaton. So here shortly we'll break away and jip the press conference that he's having at his high school, and then we'll comment on that. We'll talk to Andrew Bone, who's our Rivals Alabama recruiting expert, and he's been doing it for years and years. And when Bone pops on, make sure that you guys all click in the message column, happy birthday, because today is Bone's birthday. So we're celebrating Andrew Bone as well as Alabama's recruiting class. As we look at Camar Wheaton, Kyle, I guess the biggest surprise to me about this particular version of Alabama's recruiting class has to do with SEC expansion. When the SEC expanded, I said, well, I wasn't really enamored by the Missouri pickup. I thought, well, why not West Virginia? They like college football a lot better there. Missouri's still kind of the same thing. I don't know, like where do they fit? But Texas A&M, on the other hand, I thought was a great fit. I love the fact that they're coming from the Lone Star State. They have this campus that's a lot like Tuscaloosa. It's just it's like Alabama West. I've always had that appreciation. And it also opened the door to recruiting in the state of Texas, because you're going to be able to come back and play against a team from Texas. I never thought that it would be exploited the way that Nick Saban went in there this year with his coaches and cleaned up. And I think that's the reason that Texas hired Steve Sarkisian, because, look, if you're losing your top players to one program, if you can't get the head coach, you get the next best option. And I feel like Alabama's recruiting success really led to Texas having to go out and hire Sarkisian.
Yeah, I mean, and you've seen this time and time again for schools that come after Alabama's assistant coaches. I mean, what's the next best thing after Nick Saban? Nick Saban's not going anywhere, so you go after his assistants, his top-level assistants. Look, I think that Steve Sarkisian, it's going to be tough to upgrade. I know a lot of people have different opinions about Bill O'Brien. I think that he's going to do fine. Look, he's not coming to be the head football coach. He's not coming to be the GM at Alabama. But I think where Steve Sarkisian was in his career, calling the offense, I mean, you saw it towards the later part of the year. I mean, I don't think he called his best game against Notre Dame, but the way he orchestrated the offense against Ohio State was a thing of beauty. I mean, we can all agree on that. I mean, coming up with different schemes to get Devontae Smith, 225 yards before halftime or whatever. I mean, it was pretty incredible how he was able to have a balanced approach. Now, with Texas going after Sarkisian, and Jeff Banks and, Kyle Flood, is that going to hurt Alabama? I don't think so, because you still have Nick Saban. And what did Nick Saban do? He went out and got 2 former NFL head football coaches, not assistant coaches. He went out and got former head coaches, which is just mind-blowing when you step back. I mean, we've talked about this before. How many other programs in the country can go out and have 3 NFL former head football coaches on their staff? There's 0. There's only 1, which is Alabama. And I think if you're Alabama, the offensive line coach, or if you're an offensive lineman, rather, that is playing at Alabama, and you hear that Doug Marrone is about to coach you, I think you got to be elated, because this is a guy who can get you to the next level. He's a guy that can show you what it takes to play on Sundays. And the same thing with Bill O'Brien. Look, a lot of people just want to talk about, the acquisitions that he made for the Houston Texans. He's not going to be making any acquisitions for Alabama. He's going to be, coaching the quarterbacks in the offense. So I think, Texas, they went after the right guy. I knew that Steve Sarkisian would eventually leave Alabama. Alabama. And when Texas comes up, you have to take that job. I mean, it's one of the biggest jobs in college football. Now, can they win? I don't know. I mean, we'll see how they do. I think here in a couple of years, it will be Texas versus Alabama. So you're going to get to see Sarkisian versus Nick Saban, which would be pretty fun. But, you're going to continue to see this. You're going to see Bill O'Brien get another head football coaching job. Same thing with Doug Marrone and, some of these defensive coaches as well. I mean, maybe some smaller programs down the road, but that's just how it goes. I mean, this is a farm league for future head football coaches, and Nick Saban is the GOAT for a reason.
No doubt about it. So here shortly, we're going to pop on and watch Camar Wheaton make his official announcement and then sign with who we expect to be Alabama. Oklahoma was in the mix, though, Kyle. And when you're ready to zip off and head over to Garland, Texas, let us know too, and we'll kind of do that as well.
I just want to give a quick update. We're still waiting on this other screen. They haven't even started the stream yet, so it's not like we're prolonging anything. It's just like the actual school, which is Garland ISD. They're streaming this, so you guys know how those things can go. Sometimes they need to get everything ready. They say 8:30, but I mean it could be a little bit of time. So we're gonna talk about this class overall, and then when we are ready for Camar Wheaton to actually sign, we'll try to pipe in that video over. But I just want to give you an update. Like, we're not holding anything from you. Just FYI.
So he was was he committed to Oklahoma, or was that just who his leader was for so long?
I think that's, his leader. I don't think he ever decommitted. We're talking about Camar Wheaton. I think that was kind of the favorite for Camar Wheaton. And I think a lot of people, as soon as Sarkisian and Jeff Banks and Kyle Flood left to Texas, I think a lot of people started feeling that Camar Wheaton, being that he is from Texas, could start looking at Texas. I don't think that's ever been the case. I think that Oklahoma, if any school, would still be kind of in the mix. But I think Camar Wheaton, kind of reading between the lines and talking with Andrew Bone, it's always been between Alabama and Oklahoma. And I think Alabama made a lot of strides towards that back end. So that's kind of where things stand in terms of his commitment. And as you can see on the screen, I think he committed on the 23rd, just a couple of days before Christmas, to Alabama.
Yeah. Well, I remember us covering it. I mean, it was a pretty big deal because at the time we weren't really expecting that Alabama would go after and add a running back to the class. But I guess when you have the opportunity to add someone that brings his kind of talent in, you start to look at it and you find a spot. And you brought this up. There was the leaked video of Nick Saban's recruiting pitch. And, I know that some former players weren't real happy about that. And I understand that. I mean, they don't want their coach, who they love, to be put in a spot that he's not comfortable with. And, obviously Nick Saban is very private about the conversations that he has with players and recruits. But recruiting wise, I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, look, Paris Hilton had a release tape and, it ended up making her whole career, right? I mean, so this one to me is kind of along the same lines. I mean, we got a real look at exactly what Nick Saban does. And that's, he goes in and basically challenges guys who come in with the most amount of talent, 5-star talent, and says, look, you're going to be against the best every day in practice. You're going to compete with the best to get on the football field. That's why when you look at the NFL, we have so many players that come in to our program with 5 stars and are able to succeed. No other school can say that. And it's by far Alabama outperforming everyone else as far as developing the 5-star talent and getting them drafted and making millionaires out of them. They're making millionaires out of themselves. But what I think, Kyle, is that Nick Saban, when Camar Wheaton comes in, because Camar Wheaton is the number 1 recruit in the country at running back, doesn't necessarily mean that Camar Wheaton is stepping onto the field and touching the football the first day. But he can. I mean, we saw it with Julio Jones, right? You can do it. You're going to have to go prove yourself. And I think that what happens at other places is when you have, 3 or 4 5-star guys in your entire program, automatically you're coming in with rock star status. At Alabama, there's one rock star that I don't care how well you play in the NFL, the Heisman that you win, you could be the rushing champion 2 straight years. Nick Saban's still going to be the bigger rock star. He's the only coach in the entire country that, and I'm even thinking like in the NFL. I mean, it's like him and Bill Belichick, right? Where they're recognizable throughout everywhere you go. I mean, I turn on the TV and there's Nick Saban. You know, he's selling me Aflac insurance in case I get hurt on the job. So if I fall off my chair and break my vocal cords, Kyle, and I can't work, you know, Nick Saban's there with his blue coat selling me that. You know, even Bill Belichick doesn't do those type of commercials. You know, so going back to my point, it's what benefits these guys is that they're not treated special. They're treated like, you know, like, hey, look, you got to come in and earn it yourself. And I think that that's why a guy like Camar Wheaton benefit from going to Alabama, because they're going to force him to do his best. And that's what's going to take for him to be successful at the capstone in the SEC, in the NFL, get drafted, make millions of dollars. I mean, that's the game plan.
Yeah, and I kind of, you know, going back to that leaked video with Nick Saban talking to the recruit. Look, I could have uploaded that to our YouTube channel. I didn't want to do that, just kind of out of the. I just didn't feel it was, you know, ethical to do that. I know, you know, a lot of people wanted to see it uploaded. I actually uploaded or I recorded the 20 minutes of the video, and I could have put that on YouTube. I just didn't. I didn't think that was the right move. I felt that, you know, I'd probably get some heat from, you know, kind of Alabama or whatever. But I listened to it, and I think the first thing that Nick Saban said, because you kind of you go into it. Hold on, we just got an update from Tony. Give me 1 second. Oh, I guess his principal just said that he's going to sign with Alabama, but he hasn't actually signed. So, but his principal did say that. So, I mean, for those of you worried, we didn't feel that Camar Wheaton was going to go anywhere else. I mean, we're just kind of, you know, celebrating his official, you know, signing. Hey, and so we'll bring that right here. Hey, Curtis, quick. I know you're going crazy about Ja'Cory Brooks as a 5-star. Look, I know 24/7 has him as a 5-star. Rivals has him as a 4-star. I feel he's a 5-star as well. These are Rivals rankings that we run with because Rivals is our parent company. So it's not like we're showing disrespect to Ja'Cory Brooks. So you don't have to say that again. I know you've said that like 5 times on the stream. So anyways, getting back to what I was saying kind of about the leaked video with Saban, and the first thing he did was he pressed on the fact that, you know, he has a bit that Nick Saban and their organization has the best abilities in terms of, you know, the doctors that they have and the kind of the strength and science center that Alabama has. And those are major flexes on the rest of college football. He said, we know the best specialists, and what the care that you get is in the NFL is the same thing that you're going to get at Alabama. And I was like, wow, the same thing at the NFL that you're going to get at Alabama. And it makes sense. I mean, how many times do we see all these guys come from, you know, that are working in the NFL, come back to Tuscaloosa to work out?
Right.
So, you know, that's kind of, you know, what we've seen in the past. I think another thing that he pressed on in the video is the fact that you're going against the better competition every single day in practice than you're seeing on Saturdays. Think about that statement, right? So you come to Alabama and you're working against the first team defense. That's a better defense than you're going to face the next Saturday when you play a game. So that's why Nick Saban's always saying that you got to play, you create your value for yourself and play up to that competition, which is the competition they're going at every single day. Where we're at on the stream, I guess there's like 10 other student athletes that are signing at Garland, which isn't surprising. His principal just said that he's going to sign with Alabama. So we're just waiting to actually see him like write his name on the paper. But there's several student athletes that they're kind of running through right now. So we have no idea when they're going to actually talk about Camar Wheaton. So as soon as they do, we'll pipe that in. But that's kind of where we are. It looks like there's a young lady right here that is going to play soccer that they're kind of highlighting right now.
So we should do a show on her, right?
Well, I mean, all these athletes, I mean, hey, look, if you're going Division I in any single sport, I think that's credit to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we cover Alabama and we cover these 5-stars, but look, if you're going anywhere to play soccer, or if you're equestrian, whatever you're doing, credit to you, because that takes a lot of ability and talent and dedication to get to the next level. Waiting on Camar Wheaton, we'll bring that to you as soon as we can, fam.
Yeah, Kyle, look, I was the first one to ever just go to college and one side of my family. So I think that it is impressive when you go there with a purpose, not only just to show up and go to class, but to play a sport. But yeah, we're waiting on Camar Wheaton right now. His high school in Garland, Texas. The student athletes are signing. Obviously, he's like the Devontae Wilder of that class. He's the main event. So when it gets to him, which we're expecting that he'll sign with Alabama, we will head over there for live coverage of that. But we appreciate all you guys that are hanging out with us. Give us a thumbs up. It's real easy. It's free. Right on the screen, thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel. Be part of this, man. We are on a roll right now trying to get to 50,000 subscribers and beyond. And so, as you hang out with us today, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. You don't have to be an Alabama fan. Most of us are. But if you're an Alabama fan, college football fan, or whatever, we love having you here and hanging out with us and doing it a little bit early today on National Signing Day. National Signing Day, Kyle, has changed a whole lot, though. I mean, it doesn't have the same feel that it used to. When I can remember, just like 5 years ago, I guess, before they had the early signing period. I mean, maybe less, maybe it was even less than that. But, today was like Christmas. I mean, you would just be here. It'd be like watching I don't know. I want to say it was almost like watching the election, but even different than that. Maybe you're like watching stocks or something. It was like all these individual battles, and it would be all day long. And here comes a fax across the machine. One year, I worked for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I was the guy that they used to have this big studio set up, and as the guys would sign, my job was to dress in a suit and put the name of the guy who signed up on a board. It looked like an NFL draft room, right? But it was the Alabama signing class, and it was like live stream the fax machine, right? When people didn't even, I said, I don't even remember the last time someone used a fax machine, but that year we were using a fax machine, and people, they had the camera there, and then, had live coverage of some of the stuff. It's changed a lot with the early signing period. It's a little bit more confusing right now. Do you like the way that this new setup is? And do you think that this is long-term, or do you think eventually they just have the early signing period and that's it?
I think that's it, to be honest. I think that you're always going to have some sort of, a second tier or a second time, just because of the way that, the timing works out for these student athletes. So I think this is going to be the way. I think the early signing period has definitely changed things. And in my opinion, changed things for the better, especially for a program like the University of Alabama, because of the fact that they are so good and you do have so much coaching turnover following the season. It's not going to be like that for every single program because they don't have the turnover that Alabama does. So think about it from Nick Saban's perspective. By the time you get to that December window, you're either competing in the playoffs or you're getting ready for another national championship. So you can kind of, the prospects can see that as well, on national TV. I mean, who does ESPN talk about? There's one program, Alabama. Who's the second program? They don't even talk. ESPN doesn't even talk about any other program in college football. I bet you if you hate Alabama, you're so frustrated because they don't mention one other school ever. Right? It's just Alabama and that's it. So these recruits see that. So it's like, why Alabama? Because you're on ESPN every single weekend, every single day. And during that time period, these recruits are seeing Alabama probably undefeated or getting ready for the tournament. And that helps Alabama build. And Nick Saban's able to get those signees. Look at this class right here. The only prospect that is not signed yet is Camar Wheaton. That's it. Right. That's the only guy that is not signed. And I know we're waiting on Terry and Arnold a little later on. But other than that, I mean, what Nick Saban was able to do in this early signing period, I have never seen that done. 25 guys that were able to sign. It was a long day for us, but I bet you kind of towards that backstretch, Nick Saban could just focus on the playoffs, could focus on the national championship game. And of course, they're still got to reach out and, make sure Camar Wheaton is on board and talk with him. But in terms of now you're just really recruiting just a couple guys, and you can also start turning the page to the class of 2022, which in the past Nick Saban hasn't been able to do just because it's been difficult having to manage recruiting, playoffs, coaching turnover. This year I think he was able just to focus on the national title, and we saw Alabama take it to Ohio State.
Kyle, let me bring this up. I know this is a Tennessee signing, but Oxford High School in Alabama has a guy. He's the number 11 player in the state of Alabama. His name's Rock Taylor, right? And for 2 years, he's been committed to Tennessee. And he plays for in my opinion, one of the best coaches in Alabama, Keith Etheridge. I remember calling county high games. They played Oxford, very good program, always putting guys in, to major college football schools. And yesterday, I guess, or maybe the day before that, Tennessee's new staff with Josh Heupel pulled his scholarship. And I'm telling you, man, it is a hornet's nest right now over at Oxford. Coach Etheridge not happy with Tennessee, doesn't want them on his campus anymore. My question to you isn't about this particular story and, whether Tennessee pulling their scholarship for the tight end or athlete, however he's listed, how that makes sense or doesn't make sense. We don't know the backstory to this. All we do know is that you have an opportunity to sign in December, and then you got to wait, and then now you get this chance to sign. Now, I mean, for Camar Wheaton, it's going to work out, but if you miss that early signing period, you really roll the dice because it's a two-way street. Camar Wheaton may have said, hey, look, I'm going to Alabama, and then today he could go to Oklahoma or Texas or somewhere else, right? It doesn't appear he's going to do that. But it's the same thing with the schools. Why would you want to wait?
I mean, it's a good question. And let me kind of address some of these comments in the comment box. Everybody's asking about Camar Wheaton. Some people have said he signed. Look, I'm telling you, I'm watching the video right here. I've not seen him officially sign yet. So look, I know that he's going to sign with Alabama, and I'm not loading up on likes. Look, to truth be told, I got a golf tee time at 10 a.m. So I'm trying to finish out signing day and get out to the golf course. Okay. So I'm loading up on likes, whatever. Look, I want to be here, but the last signing day, that's where I put in the work. That's where we put in 12 hours. That was a 12-hour day. So as soon as I see him sign his paperwork, I'm done. And I got the staff doing the rest of the stuff. So I'm not loading up on likes. I'm getting ready. I have my golf stuff on underneath. I'm about to hit the golf course. Okay. So as soon as he signs, then we're out. So,
even me loading up on likes. We just like hang out here and
I guess they're just like
love the idea, guys. Hey guys, give us a thumbs up, and that's the same thing as a like. Would you like us and also subscribe to our channel as we hang out with you here on National Signing Day morning?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are like, you guys posted it on our YouTube channel. His principal spilled the beans at the beginning of the show. So all I'm going to do on this is we're just waiting for him to actually sign his paperwork. We're going to bring that footage, bring on Andrew Bone. But his principal at the beginning of the show said that Camar Wheaton is going to sign with Alabama. Like he physically said that was, we have Tony Stukalis, our team writer. He's watching it behind it. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. And I know it can probably be a little frustrating for you because you guys want to see like him actually signing. He hasn't signed. Actually, it was only his principal who said, I'm very happy that Camar Wheaton is signing with Alabama today. So there you go. So his principal told us what we need to know. We're just waiting for him to actually sign.
Do you have thermal? I get the big question now from the comment section is, do you have thermal golf gear? I mean, is someone?
No, it's freezing here. So I'm going to get my cuts in. It's 30 degrees here. So, I'm going to have to layer up. But, man, as soon as the football season ends, I'm, like, trying to get off on the golf course as much as possible. We'll wait to see here. And like I said, so Garland, as you could imagine, has so many kids signing to the next level. There, it looks like a young man. He was I think he was an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, just signed. So that's kind of where we are right now. And and you know how this works. I mean, you've seen it every time. What do you do if you have 10 people? Guess who's signing 10th? Camar Wheaton. I mean, it's like
Deontay Wilder. He's the main event.
Yeah. So. I guess we'll have to see what
you're talking about. His peer, one of the kids he goes to school with, and she's just signed a golf scholarship with a Division III golf school. I mean, if he goes first, we're not talking about her, Congratulations, Samantha. You really pushed hard to get that Division III golf scholarship, and we're all proud of you.
Yeah, they're talking about Michael Guerrero right now, another football player right now that's signing his letter of intent. It looks like he was the quarterback, so that's pretty cool. It looks like you have the quarterback and the running back both signing. Although this guy looks like he's, maybe 5'10", 150 pounds. So I'm not sure where he's going because there's a big discrepancy between him and Camar Wheaton. Mick, I wanted to kind of go back and look at this class overall. Find it. All these stars, right? He's like stars on stars. And what's amazing is I think Camar Wheaton, getting to him, he has to be so excited to be a part of Alabama's class, not because of all the stars around him, but of the offensive linemen that are around him. So, okay, let's look at Alabama's offense that's returning, the offensive line. Okay, I know you have Evan Neal, who's coming back, 6'7", 370-pound lineman, right? He's probably moved to the left tackle position. You have Emil Ekiyor at the guard position. He had over 850 snaps, okay? Who's going to be center? Probably Chris Owens. Played a lot last year, as we talked about, played center during the national title game. He's coming back for his extra senior year. But then on the left side of the ball, who's going to switch over? And I think that could be or the guard position, coming up. So you potentially have J.C. Latham, who's a 5-star, and then you also have Tommy Brockemeyer, who's a 5-star, and then you could also maybe rotate Tommy Brown, who kind of played out of position. He's 6'7", 325 pounds, but he's built like a tackle, but they played him at guard a lot last year. So I think if you're Camar Wheaton, that was another prize selling point for him, was the fact that you can come and play against, with this offensive line that is relatively young. I know you're going to lose Evan Neal after this year, but a lot of parts returning. Alabama added on Terrence Ferguson, a name you should definitely watch as a guard, who I think is really incredible. So, overall, that offensive line for any of these young running backs is going to be really excited. You got to be excited to play behind that. And I know there's a lot of talent within this running back room. It's always like that every single year. Will guys transfer out? Probably. That's kind of, the nature of it. But the cream rises, right? The best players will rise up. And Alabama's running back room right now, you have Brian Robinson up at the top, returning for his extra senior season. And then I would keep an eye on, honestly, Killen Robinson. I know a lot of people have talked about Killen Robinson and, kind of signs point to an opt-out last year, but everybody saw on social media kind of, how he looks. I mean, dude is jacked. He must be 210 pounds now, up from 175 pounds. And I would kind of, look for him to make a real push at that starting position. Still waiting on Camar Wheaton to actually sign his letter of intent, but his principal said at the beginning that, he is signing with Alabama. Looks like another young man this high school is going to play football, if you can, as you would imagine. Looks like a wide receiver this time. So hang tight. And as soon as Kamar comes, we'll bring that to you. Yeah, we're going to go live there to Garland, Texas, as soon as Camar Wheaton steps to the stage. But, it's like waiting on a heavyweight fight between Tyson Fury and Devontae Wilder. I mean, you got to watch the undercard first. So Kyle's doing that for all of us as we sit here and talk about Alabama's amazing 2021 recruiting class. And Nick Saban will talk today at 4:00. We'll have that for you as well right here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Coming up after the Camar Wheaton official signing, we'll have the birthday boy, a guy that loves recruiting, that has been covering Alabama recruiting since the Mike Shula days, he proudly proclaims. And I'm talking about Andrew Bone. Bone will be with us. When we had our staff meeting earlier this week, he made it clear that today was his birthday and that he would be Kyle's the guy that pays all of us. He's our managing editor, that Bone would get paid double time today. It's like danger pay when you work on your birthday and National Signing Day. No, I'm just kidding. But it would be great to hear from Bone and just kind of get his perspective on things. So he's coming up before Kyle goes out and plays golf. We got a lot of stuff happening though here, Kyle. I mean, this is exciting. It's when you're Alabama rivals, right? When you're Bama Insider and you're covering this like a blanket every single day, you work for this opportunity when it all comes together.
So the early signing period, we were on the air for like 12 hours. I mean, we were just here with you guys. And I'm sure a lot of you that are hanging out right now know that when something's breaking, you come right here and get us. That's why we want you to subscribe. That's why we want you to give us the like. And it's not stalling for likes. This is actually like
no, and kind of to remind people are like, well, it's already posted on your channel. The principal said that he's signing with Alabama. I think that's like, he said he's signing with Alabama. And talking with Sam Spiegelman yesterday, I mean, he said that he felt very confident that he's going to sign with Alabama. Look, I just want to bring like physically him signing the paperwork to you on the channel, and then we'll have Andrew Bone and we'll sing him happy birthday, and then we'll dip out. So that's kind of where we are right now. So and look, Garland is sending a lot of these student athletes to the next level. It's like one after the other, which isn't surprising. Texas always sends guys and ladies to the next level. I think they had a lady going to play soccer, and then a couple of these other guys playing football. So waiting on Wheaton to officially sign, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Do you think he's missing Camar Wheaton and his teammates are missing math class, or do you think it's social studies that they're missing right now for this momentous occasion?
One of the others. This is they have another guy signing right now. This is a big defensive tackle. And so apparently all these guys from Garland are going to the next level. Previous offensive lineman, I think, is going to Arizona State. And now this young man, I don't know where he's going quite yet. But
you didn't answer my question, though. I mean, what class are they out of right now? Do you remember those days?
In the morning time? Oh, yeah. In the morning time, you either got like some sort of like extra PE class, or then you have like, English lit or something like that. And so you can kind of skip out on those. But this is a big day. This is National Signing Day, and as we've already spoken about, Alabama's class pretty much full, just waiting on Camar Wheaton to actually sign, and then you have Terrion Arnold, and that'll be on ESPN. So we're not going to come back and be live. A lot of people are asking us, "Are you guys going to be live all day?" Well, there's nothing really to talk about. It's like Alabama had the #1 signing class coming in. They're going to retain the signing class. We're waiting on Terrion Arnold. If Terrion Arnold signs with Alabama, that's going to be really incredible because he's an elite level safety who also plays basketball. You want to check out his highlights on the hardwood. It's pretty incredible. He's got like 360 dunks and stuff like that. So if he comes, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually tries out for the basketball team, kind of similar to what you're seeing from JaQuincy McKinstry. And then we're going to have Nick Saban talk about this signing class as a whole, which will be the first time that we've heard Nick Saban speak since the national title game, I think. So it's always great to hear from the GOAT. As you saw down in the Senior Bowl, he was loose. He was smiling, watching Mac Jones create more value for himself. Mac Jones, now they're saying top 10, right?
That's amazing.
And I'm not surprised by that because, look, Mac Jones didn't have to go down to the Senior Bowl. He didn't. I mean, 4,500 yards, national championship. I mean, what are you going to do? He was a first round, but people kept talking about, what was it, Trey Lance or Zach Wilson over Mac Jones? And I'm like, okay, look, are those guys, going to be great in the NFL? Who knows? But one thing that I can tell you is that Mac Jones went against the best competition, the SEC, for 10 weeks consecutively, then balled out in the SEC championship game, then took it to Notre Dame, and then finished off against Ohio State. The guy did what more can you do? And for people talking about sleeping on Devontae Smith, saying that they might pass on him, are you kidding me? Did you not watch the entire season? Like, that guy came every single game and played out of his mind. Why would you pass on Devontae Smith? That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, well, what happens is when you pass on guys like that, and that's the position of need that you're in, you run into a situation like, you're the team that took Sam Bowie instead of Michael Jordan, right? I mean, you get an opportunity at a game changer, you got to take them. And Devontae Smith certainly is that type of game changer. And it'll be definitely interesting. This year's NFL draft is about as exciting as this year's Super Bowl, which is coming up on Sunday. It's going to be interesting to see where Matt goes, where Devontae goes. Maybe Tua gets traded. I mean, there's a lot of fire going on there. Deshaun Watson. I mean, think of all the teams.
We're of course we love the likes. We love the for you guys to subscribe to be here. We got a video right now with Andrew Bone breaking down Camar Wheaton. Then we're gonna have Andrew Bone jump back on. We'll talk with Andrew Bone a little bit more. But here is that interview. You can also watch that. We published it just a second ago on BamaInsider.com. Let me make sure all the audio and everything's working while I get that. And here's that interview right here with Andrew Bone talking about Camar Wheaton. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, Camar Wheaton has officially signed with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama entered signing day with the #1 ranked recruiting class. Their #1 target at running back, the #1 running back in the country, Camar Wheaton, has officially signed here with Andrew Bone to break it all down. Bone, let's talk about Camar Wheaton. Talk about a slam dunk on signing day.
It's official. I think Alabama fans are pretty excited. I'm sure the Alabama coaching staff is very excited today as well, as Camar Wheaton made it official this morning and signed with the Crimson Tide. We weren't really sure what he was going to do. Last month when he announced that decision, he had narrowed it down to Alabama and Oklahoma, and many people assumed that he was going to Oklahoma. I think even Alabama assumed he was going to Oklahoma. Did not sign during the early signing period. Announced on December the 23rd for the Crimson Tide. Of course, there was a lot that happened, between December 23rd and to this point. Alabama lost its offensive coordinator, so Steve Sarkisian, as he became the head coach of Texas. Jeff Banks, the area recruiter, left and also went to Texas. You also had Charles Huff, running backs coach, leave Alabama and become the Marshall head coach. So there was probably a lot of uncertainty what Camar Wheaton was going to do in the end. And he was one of these guys that just doesn't talk to really anybody. Nobody in the media. I don't think has had an interview with him, probably in months. So there was still a lot of uncertainty as to what he was going to do. We knew that he had talked to Oklahoma a little bit, but Alabama did not let him get away. They continued to press hard for him. Nick Saban, really kind of took over Camar's recruitment over this last month, and then when Robert Gillespie, joined the staff as a new running backs coach, he had some good conversations with Camar over the course of the last week, which started. I think they had their first Zoom call together last Wednesday, so for a week ago, and the communication has continued. So getting him to stick with his commitment to Alabama, obviously huge. Getting another player from the state of Texas. Obviously Alabama recruited the state extremely well this year, but getting the #1 running back in the country once again. We've seen this several times. But we also didn't think Alabama was going to get a running back in this class. We kind of had been saying pretty much from the get-go that it was probably going to be Camar Wheaton or bust. And Alabama just, this wasn't a class where Alabama absolutely needed a running back, but to get a special running back like Camar Wheaton, they were never going to turn him down. And I'm sure they're certainly excited to have him on board today.
Here with Andrew Bone talking about Camar Wheaton, who has officially signed with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Bone, as we look at kind of the rankings, Camar Wheaton's at the top. I mean, kind of just talk about the impact for what he brings. I mean, Alabama, as you know, has a stacked running back room. Brian Robinson potentially returning for his senior year. Trey Sanders, who suffered a season-ending injury with the car accident. You have Killen Robinson coming back. You have Jace McQuillan, Roydell Williams, Kyle Edwards, and now Camar Wheaton. The impact of Camar Wheaton coming on board, I mean, it's hard to always speculate, where these players are going to be able to fit in as they initially arrive at Alabama. But what do you like about Camar Wheaton? Let's kind of talk about what he brings, the impact, and some of his highlights.
Yeah, I love his speed. I mean, he's got great speed, very elusive. He's a home run hitter. This is a guy who can line up just about any position on the field and take it a distance. He's not going to get caught from behind. So, I think that's something that really sticks out. He's 6 feet tall. I've heard there's some weight discrepancies amongst the different websites, but I think he's around the 195, 200-pound mark right now. There's been some comparisons to Dalvin Cook, coming out of high school, not necessarily right now, but coming out of high school, very similar to Dalvin Cook. I think he's got a kind of a running style, also similar to Kenyon Drake a little bit. Just his explosiveness and his vision on the field is second to none. So I think that he's certainly somebody that can make an impact. Obviously, Alabama's going to have a tremendous depth chart at the running back position heading into this 2021 fall season. And, can Camar Wheaton potentially, break into that rotation? We'll have to wait and see because, the running backfield is is pretty impressive right now.
With Andrew Bone of BamaInsider.com talking about Camar Wheaton, who has officially signed with the Alabama Crimson Tide. You can catch the rest of our signing day coverage back at BamaInsider.com. Bone, when we look at Camar Wheaton, as you said earlier, you lose Charles Huff, the running backs coach who took the head football coaching position with Marshall. You lose Jeff Banks. Those are guys that, recruited all this class of 2021, helped piece together one of the top recruiting classes that Nick Saban has had. Do you think kind of towards the backstretch, it might have been difficult for Camar Wheaton to make this decision? Or do you think that the Bama factor just continues to sell? I mean, I think when you look at this class overall in a virtual world, Nick Saban, what he's been able to do on the field, sending guys to the NFL, the top facilities that they continue to improve on. Do you think that Bama factor certainly plays despite kind of the coaches that, turned over after the perfect season?
There's no doubt about it. Alabama is coming off another national championship, and we've seen many coaches come and go. At Alabama, it's kind of a revolving door of assistant coaches because of the success of the program, and position coaches getting coordinator jobs, coordinators getting head coaching jobs. But obviously, the one constant is Nick Saban. That's who recruits want to play for. They want to play for Coach Saban. They want to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide and the brand and what it means. So. I think, despite the coaching turnover, Alabama's still going to be Alabama. And you look at this recruiting class, currently rated as the best recruiting class of all time, according to Rivals.com. When you look at the point totals, how good is this class going to be in 2 or 3 years down the road? We saw that 2017 class, what they were able to do. Not only throughout their career, but we remember them as true freshmen. Being on the field in that national championship game against Georgia, and the impact some of those guys had, like Henry Ruggs and Devontae Smith and Najee Harris and Alex Leatherwood and Jerry Jeudy. Will we see similar things from this 2021 class next year? Will they potentially make an impact, or will it be a few years down the road? I think this is a special recruiting class. Obviously, anytime you're rated as the best class of all time, you certainly have to have some special people in it. And I think top to bottom, you got to be just so impressed with this class. It's not like they've loaded up on the defense side of the ball and they're hurting a little bit on offense. I mean, every single position, it seems like they just absolutely hit a home run. And Camar Wheaton's got to be pretty excited about the offensive line that he's going to get to run behind here in the future. I mean, you have two guys who are rated in the top 10 overall in the country, in J.C. Latham, who's number 2 overall in the country, and Tommy Brockermeyer. But then you also get Jaden Roberts and T.J. Ferguson and James Brockermeyer. He's got 3 offensive linemen also from the state of Texas in his recruiting class. You got a quarterback in this recruiting class from the state of Texas, not to mention the defensive players. So you got to have a lot of confidence in this recruiting class. Camar Wheaton's got to be extremely excited that he's going to be around some other people from his home state, but it's a big win for Alabama, especially, even though they lost some assistant coaches. And I think, if you look back on it, Camar Wheaton did not have a ton of communication with Alabama throughout the entire process. I think if he would have, maybe it would have played a little bit more of a factor. If he was talking to Jeff Banks or Charles Huff or Coach Stark on a weekly basis, maybe it would have had an impact. But I think because he just didn't talk to coaches and kind of, stayed quiet throughout his entire recruitment, I think that helped Alabama's chances in keeping him, because he basically committed to the program, not to any assistant coaches when he made that decision back in December. And, Nick Saban did a great job of, continuing to, recruit him, making sure he felt like a top priority. And then when Coach Gillespie was hired, that was the first call that he made. So, got to give a lot of credit to Alabama, just maintaining and keeping him on board. But special recruiting class.
All right, well, great stuff, Andrew. To find out more about the class of 2021, including prospects that are already early enrolled, go to BamaInsider.com. To get behind the paywall, the promo code is simply Roll Tide at checkout. He's Andrew Bone. I'm Kyle Henderson. We'll catch you soon back on BamaInsider.com. All right, Bone. What's up? Now we got you in real time.
In real time. What's up, man?
What's
Happy
up?
signing day.
Well, first of all, let me get this graphic up. Hey, fam, let me run through this real quick, okay? First of all, we got some incredible super chats, so I want to get those on the screen. Thank you very much. First of all, Jersey Dolphins, thank you so much for showing the love. $20. We sincerely appreciate you more than you know. So thank you very much to you, Jersey Dolphins. And then all the way back, we got scrolling down, we got Bailey coming in. We appreciate you as well. Thank you very much for the super chat. And let's see. I think we got one more in for the super chat, and then we'll bring on Andrew Bone. Oh, what's up, Hoover fan? Hoover fan, we got you. Hey, okay. Thank you very much. Super chats get the crowd of applause, and now we got Andrew Bone of BamaInsider.com. Hey, so look, it's Bone's birthday. If you can, like, it's your signing day. It's like I mentioned it earlier. It's like your ice cream man that delivers ice cream. His last name is Cone, right? So Bone, it's his birthday today. So how about you guys give Bone a shout out for working so hard on his birthday? Let me get a banner up for this. Happy birthday, Andrew Bone. All right. Wow. Happy birthday, Andrew Bone on signing day. Bone. It's snowing 5 stars in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Camar Wheaton on board. We just had you on to talk about Camar Wheaton. And we'll kind of dive into this class a little bit. And I mentioned earlier, I'm about to go hit the golf course today because we're only watching Terry and Arnold in the afternoon. And we got Saban. It's a beautiful day out here, even though it is cold. Was there any way, kind of down the stretch that you felt Camar Wheaton might change his mind and maybe go somewhere else?
Well, I would say the last 48 hours, no. Leading up to it, we just weren't sure. I think the last, couple weeks, just, the unknown, the fact that Alabama, at the time, didn't have a running backs coach, had lost his offense coordinator, had lost the position, his area recruiting coach. And there just had not been a lot of contact, from both sides. And, that was kind of, the case before he committed to Alabama. There just wasn't a lot of communication. That's just kind of how he is. Very quiet, very reserved kid that you really just don't know what's going on with him. Over the course of the last few days, we really started to hear that Alabama felt a little bit better about its chances. I'd heard on Tuesday that he had been in pretty regular communication the last few days, which is huge. When you hear that Camar Wheaton has been in communication with the coaching staff, knowing who Camar Wheaton is and knowing that he doesn't really talk, you had a very strong feeling that he was going to stick with Alabama. And just, from talking to our sources out in Oklahoma, they were pretty well connected. I talked to them on Monday, again on Tuesday, and the feeling was almost 100% that Camar Wheaton wasn't going anywhere, that he was going to sign with Alabama. So we kind of went with that on Tuesday. And then it was funny, late Tuesday night, probably around, I would say around maybe 10:30, I got a text from a buddy of mine in Texas who basically 100% confirmed it, that it was definitely going to happen. I talked to one of his coaches earlier in the day who also said that he was going to stick with Alabama. So we just kept hearing more and more from more people that he was going to sign with Alabama. So there wasn't really any worry on my part this morning, and I would say probably yesterday afternoon, midday, probably around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I had a very, very strong feeling that there was nothing to worry about. And then, he signs with Alabama today. And, his coach came out and said, I think, I saw some people tweeting that his coach ruined his moment. His coach didn't ruin his moment because he's already committed. You don't ruin a kid's moment when a kid's committed and he doesn't want any drama. That's the bottom line. He didn't want any drama on signing day. And even though it comes across as he was a little dramatic, he really wasn't. He just didn't care much about the recruiting process. Didn't talk. Didn't really want to have any limelight on him like we see with so many top recruits. And he made that decision last month. He made that final decision over the course of the last week that he was going to stick with Alabama. So he went into today not having to announce that he was signing with Alabama. He just signed with Alabama. You don't have to, when you're committed somewhere and you don't want to create any drama in the end, You just you go up there, you sign with your letter of intent. Your coach announces, "Hey, Camar Wheaton or whoever it may be is signing with Alabama today." Let it be. Enjoy the moment, and that's what him and his family did. So there was no drama today. He just signed with Alabama, and I'm sure he's excited. His family's excited. The Alabama coaching staff's excited because this is another, sensational running back that gets added to the running back room in Tuscaloosa, and that room is pretty spectacular right now with the guys they have coming back. Now you add in the best running back in the country in this 2021 recruiting class, and Alabama's got to be excited about their future, and especially on the offensive line. I mean, I've been talking about how this might be the best offensive line, class of the Nick Saban era, maybe of all time. You have two kids who are in the top 10 overall in the Rivals, 100. So you got to think that this is a pretty spectacular offensive line class. It's a class that somebody like Camar Wheaton wants to run behind here in the future.
Here with Andrew Bone of BamaInsider.com. Let's add in Mick real quick. Give me 1 second real fast. Let's do this. All righty. Okay. All right. We got our nice setup real quick here. Look, we know Camar Wheaton has officially signed with Alabama. There's some people saying that we're behind. No, we covered the thing. Camar Wheaton signed. We're providing a couple more details. Don't forget to wish Andrew Bone happy birthday. We appreciate the super chats that are coming in. Thank you very much. And Camar Wheaton is officially on board, as you can see. Bone, look, we got Terran Arnold, who is going to make his announcement. I'm sorry, let me get that.
Who?
Pick up. Terran Arnold, right?
I'm joking.
Yeah, you're like, who? We got Terran Arnold at 3 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Where are we in terms of, I mean, you've talked about this a million times. You gave a prediction. It is, I've seen someone came on one of your shows last night. I was reading through the comments, and they said that Gainesville is starting to feel excited about Terran Arnold, the big-time safety out of Tallahassee, Florida. I know Georgia is also in the mix. We've kind of talked about that. Where do things stand with Terran Arnold going into the final hours before he signs his official letter of intent?
Dang, Gainesville's excited he's going somewhere else. That's
right.
Yeah, I mean, I strongly do not think it's going to be the University of Florida. I think it's really down between two schools, Alabama and Georgia. It's close. I mean, we went with Alabama, and I think Alabama's been there the longest. Georgia's been there for a long time, but I think Alabama started recruiting him a little bit before Georgia did. Doesn't really matter, but I think that the relationships with Alabama, the development, I think his relationship with Kool-Aid, JaQuincy McKinstry, who's been talking to him pretty regularly about playing both sports at Alabama, because Terran Arnold's a superstar basketball player, wants to play basketball, and has also been talking to Nate Oates. So I think all those factors kind of add up in favor of the Crimson Tide. Now, Georgia's certainly selling him on playing time. Losing several defensive backs from this year's team. His good friend Xavier Sori signed with Georgia last month, so those are some factors in favor for him. And he's got a great relationship with Kirby Smart. But in the end, I do think he ends up committing to Alabama today. But like I said, I hate to always say I'm going to leave some wiggle room there, but it's tight. I mean, it really is. I mean, this is a very tight recruitment. As of, I know, late last night. I don't know about this morning yet. We're still trying to reach out to some sources, kind of figure things out. But as of late last night, he had not told either staff of his decision. So there was, I would say, there was probably a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of nervousness as to what he was going to do. Just from talking to our Georgia people, the feeling still on the Georgia side is Alabama, but they still think that Kirby is still heavily recruiting him, that he's not going to go down without a fight. So we will see what happens at 3:00. I mean, this could go back and forth for a few hours. Hopefully, Tyrion knows his decision. He said that, a few days ago that he, knows his decision. He's ready to announce it. But recruiting's pretty crazy. I mean, this is something that, never really ends until these kids sign, their letter of intent. I'll never forget, a few years ago, that's several years ago, Leonard Fournette committed to LSU over Alabama at the Under Armour All-American game, and I was there. I was, a few feet from him when he announced that decision, and I'll never forget, speaking to some coaches who said, even though he's committed to LSU, we're not going to stop recruiting him until he signs. And I know Burton Burns, Alabama's running backs coach at the time, was talking to him even, on signing day morning. But in the end, he ends up sticking with LSU. So, things aren't over when things aren't over when kids say they're over. I mean, they keep on going. They may have it in their mind that they're going to go to, a certain school. And most of the time they do. But sometimes kids change their minds, so we'll have to just kind of wait and see. But as of right now, I'm sticking with my prediction. Of course, we're here on signing day, so there's probably no turning back now in terms of flipping that prediction. But we'll see. We saw a few years ago with Nakobe Dean, it was 1 hour it was Georgia, the next hour it was Alabama. 30 minutes later, he was going to Ole Miss. He just kept going back and forth between three schools, and eventually he announced his commitment to Georgia. But we saw that with Trey Sanders and Evan Neal a few years ago. Between Alabama, Georgia, these recruiting battles have been just so intense through the years that it really goes down to the wire. Because these are two elite programs. These are, especially with Alabama, coming off another national championship. Nick Saban's 6 while he's been in Tuscaloosa. It's hard to turn that down. And I know that Georgia's trying to get there, trying to win their first. And they feel like, Terry Arnold's somebody that can help them. But, Nick Saban and his, development of defensive backs, the amount of guys that they put in the league every single year, I think that speaks volumes to recruits, and they want to play with the best. We saw that video that leaked a few weeks ago. Well, I guess it was last week. And let me tell you, I don't think Alabama was too happy about that. I know some people said, "Oh, Alabama probably enjoyed, some free publicity." No, Alabama does not want that stuff out there one bit. That was not very pleasing in Tuscaloosa. But Nick Saban, mentioned how Marlon Humphrey at practice is going up against Amari Cooper every day. He mentioned Cam Robinson and how he's going up against Jonathan Allen, every day at practice. I mean, it's iron sharpens iron, every single day. Not on game days. Not Alabama going up against another SEC opponent. This is every day at practice. You're going up against top 10 draft picks. You're going up against guys that are going to be in the NFL. And you look at Alabama's recruiting class right now, signing class. You have 4 Rivals 100 wide receivers. Don't you think Terry Arnold probably would like to go up against those guys every day at practice? Yeah, I think that's a strong selling point for Alabama, in the case of Terry Arnold. So we'll see what happens at 3:00. I'm sticking with my prediction for Alabama. Alabama, as of right now, has the highest rated recruiting class in the modern Rivals rankings era. That's not going to change. Regardless of what Terry Arnold does today, it will boost that number up a little bit. But regardless of what his decision is, Alabama's going to sign the highest class of the Rivals era today.
Oh, Kyle, you've got some golf to go play. So as we celebrate Bone's birthday first and then National Signing Day second, we appreciate hanging out with you today, Kyle. And Bone and I will continue the conversation about this amazing recruiting class.
Yeah. And thank you very much for watching. We'll be back later on, depending on what happens with Terrence Arnold. So remember that he does sign, and that'll be on ESPN. And then we'll have Nick Saban's press conference, which we'll carry right here on our YouTube channel or back at BamaInsider.com. We appreciate you. Look at the top. More than you know, you guys have really helped us build up our channel. So we appreciate you more than you guys could ever know. I'll turn it over to Mick and Bone to close it out. And you guys have a beautiful rest of the day. I'll be back later on as we continue our National Signing Day coverage back on BamaInsider.com.
All right. Well, look, before we get out of here, Bone, I wanted to ask you about the situation with Rock Taylor at Oxford High. He got a scholarship taken away from him by Tennessee. What's the advantage of waiting like Camar Wheaton did to sign late instead of just going ahead and getting it out of the way?
Well, Kamar decided, after the early signing period, so he waited a little bit longer. There was a chance that he could have gone ahead and signed and then announced on December the 23rd, but he waited. And maybe he waited because he wanted to see, what was going to happen with, potentially some coaching changes. Was that going to affect his decision? Clearly, it did not affect his decision. But anytime you're a guy like Camar Wheaton, you can afford to do that. You can afford to, wait because a spot's always going to be held for you. Some of these kids, unfortunately, spots aren't going to be held for them. And I hated seeing that story on Rock Taylor, basically being dropped by Tennessee the day before signing day. Obviously, new coaching staff and stuff like that happens from time to time. I mean, heck, it's happened at Alabama before. So it's not like Alabama's innocent in doing that. They've done that before. I think people have been given a little bit more heads up, not necessarily the day before National Signing Day. So it's an unfortunate situation, and hopefully, there's a school out there that will get Rock Taylor on their roster.
No doubt about it. So you tell me that you've got a radio interview to go to. So I guess we'll let you dip out for that, and I'll close things up. All right.
All right. Sounds good. And, like I said, we're only watching Terrion Arnold today. Somebody asked about Destin Hill. Don't worry about him. He's not going to Alabama. He's going somewhere else. So we're watching Terrion Arnold. Also waiting to see. Maybe Brian Thomas decides to announce the decision today. Haven't heard anything final, but we're kind of hearing that he probably will wait and delay that decision. So we'll see what happens there. But Terrion Arnold, 3 o'clock ESPN, we'll have full coverage on BamaInsider.com and on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. So you guys come back, I guess, around 2:45. So we'll see you then.
Awesome, guys. And look, subscribe to our channel. Give us the likes. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. Also, I see that it says Devontae Smith, wide receiver. We know that he's a defensive back, but, with that said, he's a wide receiver on here as well. So anyway, look, appreciate all you guys for joining us today. Alabama does get Camar Wheaton as their commitment today. We got one more coming up, and we'll be with you here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out BamaInsider.com to get all the latest news on Alabama recruiting. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm Mick Gillespie for Kyle Henderson and Andrew Bone. Appreciate all of you guys, and roll Tide.